Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I will call the Board of Examiners meeting to order. Can you hear us loud and clear in Las Vegas?
Yep, we
can, Governor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All members are present. We'll then proceed to agenda item number 2, public comment. Is there any member of the public in Carson City that would like to provide public comment to the board? I hear and see none. Is there anyone present in Las Vegas that would like to provide public comment to the board?
No, Governor.
All right. Thank you. We'll move to agenda item number 3, which is the approval of the May 9th, 2017 minutes. Have the members had an opportunity to review the minutes, and are there any changes?
I have no changes, Governor, so we'll move for approval.
Secretary of State has moved to approve the May 9, 2017 meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I second.
Attorney General has seconded the motion. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. That motion passes 3-0. We are, if I'm correct, Mr. Wells, pulling off agenda items number 4 and 5.
That's correct, Governor.
So then, if any of you are here for 4 or 5, you're politely excused, and then we'll move on to agenda item number 6, which are the salary adjustments. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Governor. Sections 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Assembly Bill 489 of the 2015 legislative session appropriated salary adjustment funds to the Board of Examiners to cover vacancy, salary savings that are built into agency budgets, as well as the 1% and 2% cost of living adjustments that were effective on July 1st of 2015 and July 1st, 2016, respectively, as those COLAs are not built into the agency-approved budgets. An agency whose actual salaries exceed the budgeted amount due to the vacancy savings or the COLAs are allowed to request salary adjustment dollars from the Board of Examiners. This item represents the first request to access those funds for fiscal year 17 by the Office of the Attorney General for their crime prevention budget account to cover the cost of the COLAs in the amount of $7,860, the Nevada System of Higher Education for their various accounts to cover the 1% and 2% COLAs, as well as the vacancy savings in the amount of $12,890,897, and the Department of Public Safety Training Division to cover the cost of the COLAs in the amount of $5,504 in general funds and $10,358 in highway funds. Representatives from the agencies are available to answer any questions members may have.
Just a question for you, Mr. Wells. This is all expected and budgeted for, correct?
That's correct. These are normal, and you'll probably see some more of these in both the July and August BOE.
All right, thank you. Questions from board members? If there are none, the chair will accept a motion to approve the salary adjustments presented in agenda item number 6.
I move to approve the salary adjustments in item number 6.
The Secretary of State has moved to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by the Attorney General. Any questions or discussion on the motion? I hear none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That motion passes 3-0. Like agenda items 4 and 5, Mr. Wells, agenda item number 7 has also been removed from the agenda?
That's correct. Item 7 has also been withdrawn.
Thank you. We'll then move to agenda item number 8, which is the Victim of Crime Fiscal Year 2017 Third Quarter Report and Fiscal Year 2017 Fourth Quarter Recommendation.
Thank you, Governor. Pursuant to NRS 217.260, the Board of Examiners is required to estimate the available revenue and anticipated claims costs for the State Victims of Crime Program. This item includes a report on the claims paid for the third quarter of 2017 and a recommendation to pay priorities 1, 2, and 3 claims at 100% for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2017. The program anticipates having a reserve at the end of the fourth quarter of FY17 of approximately $11.9 million after covering all expenses and a 45-day operating reserve, which is slightly less than the $13.3 million that was projected at the end of the last quarter, but still a comfortable reserve for this program. Representatives from the Victims of Crime Program are available to answer questions that board members may have.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. And my only question is this, was we do have a robust reserve as good as we've ever had, but there may be a change in federal policy, so will that alter how we look at paying the claims that are presented.
Certainly, Governor, there has been some discussion about removing some of the funding for this program. In the current federal fiscal year, there is some rescission of unused or unspent funds. I have not heard for sure where this will go in upcoming future budgets for the federal government for the grants that fund a large chunk of this program. The other funding source for this program is the court assessment fees, and those too have been decreasing over time, but this program does right now have a very comfortable reserve.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Any questions or comments from the other board members on this agenda item?
I have none.
None, Governor. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, the chair will accept a motion to approve the Victim of Crime Fiscal Year 2017 Third Quarter Report and Fiscal Year 2017 Fourth Quarter Recommendation.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Secretary of State. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes 3-0. We'll move on to agenda item number 9, Mr. Wells, leases.
Thank you, Governor. There are 11 leases in agenda item number 9 for approval by the board this morning, and no additional information has been requested by any of the members.
I have no questions. Board members, any questions?
No
No
questions. Governor.
questions.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved to approve leases 1 through 11 as presented in agenda item number 9. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by the Secretary of State. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. That motion passes 3-0. We'll move on to agenda item number 10, contracts. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Governor. There are 135 contracts in agenda item number 10 for approval by the board this morning. Contract number 4 between the Office of the State Treasurer and Amplify Relations has been withdrawn, as has contract number 74 between the Department of Health and Human Services Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy and Liberty Dental of Nevada. Members have requested additional information on contracts 106 through 115 between the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Division of Forestry and 10 local government firefighting agencies.
Ms. Casey, if you would come forward, please. And I had asked for these to be pulled just to have another opportunity for you to go through what we're looking at for the fire season, and what these contracts mean.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor and members of the board. Casey, Acting State Forester for the Nevada Division of Forestry. As we had talked about earlier, we're looking at a pretty significant fire season this year. Predictive Services have said with all the grasses that have grown because of all the winter weather and rain that we've had, these typically are our highest fire seasons, the years following our wettest years, historically speaking. So these contracts mean a lot both for the counties who participate and for the Division of Forestry to be able to provide that support to the counties for fighting fires, for the administrative support, the access to our 4196 account so that they can actually go right back into being ready for initial attack. So, and just as an update on the fire season thus far, we have had 94 starts so far this year, 87 of which have been human-caused, 7 of which are lightning at this time, and that's early fire season. That's pretty typical. And then we are looking at tracking pretty normal fire season entry at the lower levels, higher elevations, still looking at a later start, probably the end of June. And just an update on our fire trucks, they are here, and they will be in service next week. So.
No, I appreciate that, and I'm sure all the firefighters are out there excited about having that equipment.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, when you say that you have 87 that are human-caused, can you break that down a little bit?
I don't have exact numbers, but for the most part, it's been shooting fires thus far. Some have been power transmission poles, power surges, and then so a lower amount of arson and accidental fire starts.
And you know how I feel about all of you, but already, we've had those starts, but you guys have been on it and
Yeah.
been able to put some of these fires out that have had close proximity to urban areas that you were able to put out right away.
Yeah, I think we're at 33,000 acres so far in the 94 starts, a little above. So it's been a testament to all of the jurisdictions working together, closest resources being called immediately upon start, and having those fire cams and getting that early detection has been very helpful.
No, and you anticipated my next question, which those fire cams. So that is something that is a tool that we haven't had, I guess, the benefit of historically. So those are making a big difference.
Yeah, we've had access to them over the last couple years at our dispatch centers, but they certainly have put in a whole bunch more, covering a lot more of the state of recent, and they're still continuing to do that. And a lot of those early detection starts were detected by the public and the dispatch centers who were watching those cameras.
That's great. Board members, any questions?
Because I saw the article in the paper and I thought it was really good. I just wanted to commend you on that and thank you and the Forestry Division for all your efforts. I know it's no small task, and I know that it's been something that we've had to watch on a regular basis up there. And everyone thought because of all the water that we would be clear, but we know that that's not true. So thank you all, and please thank all of the firefighters for us.
Thank you all for your support as well.
All right, thank you, Madam Secretary, and thank you, Ms. Casey. All right, if there are no further questions, the chair will accept a motion to approve contracts 1 through 135 with the exception of number 4 and number 74.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second it, and I'll take my question offline with the tourism, and it's not real important, but I'll take it, talk to them later.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. If there are no further questions or comments, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. That motion passes 3-0. We will move on to agenda item number 11, Master Service Agreements. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Governor. There are 13 master service agreements in agenda item 11 for approval by the board this morning, and no additional information has been requested by any of the members.
Board members, any questions on agenda item number 11? If there are none, the chair will accept a motion for approval.
I move to approve.
Attorney General has moved to approve the master service agreements identified in agenda item number 11. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Secretary of State. Any questions or discussion on the motion? I hear none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. We'll move to agenda item number 12, which is an information item for the clerk of the board contracts. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Governor. There were 67 contracts under the $50,000 threshold that were approved by the clerk between April 18th and May 23rd, 2017. This item is informational only, and no additional information had been requested by any of the members.
Board members, any questions? I hear none. We'll move to agenda item number 13, which is another information item for the Department of Public Safety Emergency Management Disaster Relief Account request. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Governor. Item 13 includes 2 notifications from the Division of Emergency Management of the intent to request allocations from the disaster relief account pursuant to NRS 353.2755. Pursuant to this statute, state agencies and local governments can request a grant or a loan through the Division of Emergency Management from the disaster relief account if, because of the disaster, the local government or state agency is unable to pay for an expense from available funds. Applicants must submit their intention to apply not later than 60 days after the governor or the governing body of a local government determines an event constitutes a disaster. The division must then notify the Board of Examiners and the Fiscal Analysis Division of the Legislative Council Bureau of the intent. Within 18 months of the determination the event constitutes a disaster, the state agency or the local government must submit their final requests to the Division of Emergency Management and the Department of Taxation, including whether the request is for a loan or a grant and the final amount of the request. The Division of Emergency Management and the Department of Taxation are then required to review the requests and submit reports to the Board of Examiners, who make a recommendation to the Interim Finance Committee on the proposed amount and the determination of whether it is a loan or a grant. This notification is the first step in the process, and the applications will come to the board for approval of a recommendation to the Interim Finance Committee at a later date. Last month, the board received notification regarding the January flooding events in northwestern Nevada. Item A is a notification regarding the February flooding events in northern Nevada, and item B is a notification regarding preparations and mitigation efforts for spring runoff events in central Nevada. And I'll be happy to answer any questions the members may have.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. And we don't have the specific amount that the local governments are going to seek, do we?
We do not have the specific amounts at this time. We do have some projected amounts for the three events, and the February event total, again, and this is for 50% of the local government share, and since most of these will be covered by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, who will pay 75%, we're really looking at about 12.5% of the total costs. And so for the February events, the 12.5% right now is roughly estimated at $1.6 million, and for the spring thaw events, the 12.5% is roughly $114,000.
And I think I read that we have $7.5 million in the account, so we have sufficient funds in the event these are approved.
That's correct, and we will be putting about $500,000 per quarter into the disaster relief account too. So the disaster relief account continues to grow, and we will be. And you're right, there's about a little over $7 million in there at this point.
Thank you. Board members, any questions with regard to agenda item number 13?
None from me, Governor.
I guess my question would be the timing of when this comes back to us and what we're given to present to prepare for that decision. You mentioned we have to decide what's coming out of the fund or whether, like you said, it'd be a bond. I just want to make sure we've got adequate time to prepare.
The agencies, the local government agencies and the state agencies that are requesting money from the disaster relief account have 18 months to bring back their requests for access to the disaster relief account. And they have to submit information to both the Division of Emergency Management as well as the Department of Taxation. And part of the reason that they go to the Department of Taxation is the Department of Taxation determines whether or not they have or do not have sufficient existing funds of their own to cover the disasters, because that's part of the rationale for them to be able to access the disaster relief account, is that they don't have local resources to pay. And so after the Department of Taxation has reviewed the applications, they submit their recommendations to the Board of Examiners, who then will make a recommendation to the Interim Finance Committee for the allocation.
Thank you.
Any other questions with regard to agenda item number 13? Hear none, we'll move to agenda item number 14, which is the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources State Lands Conveyance Agreement. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Governor. Item 14 is an informational report on an action item to be presented at the Interim Finance Committee on June 20th regarding the conveyance of approximately 12,000 acres of land to create the new Walker River State Recreation Area. And there are representatives from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources to present this item this morning.
So if we'd have the representatives come forward, please. And many times our agendas are routine. This is not a routine item. This is a very exciting development.
Good morning, Governor, members of the board. For the record, my name is Charlie Donahue. I'm the administrator of the Division of State Lands as well as the State Land Registrar. This is an exciting opportunity for the state where we will be accepting a gift of over 12,000 acres. I will be assigning a significant portion of that to Division of State Parks to operate as the Walker River Recreation Area, as well as 43 acres I'll be assigning to the Department of Wildlife. Those 43 acres by the Buska Gauge are immediately adjacent to the wildlife management area in Yerington. I'd like to publicly call out the fact that my supervisor and land agent, Elise Quick, spent an awful lot of time executing this deal. And we're also very fortunate that the legislature also was willing to support your budget initiative. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the state, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Why don't I hold questions and let Mr. Johnson kind of take us through it, and perhaps you could as well give us a little history lesson as to the nature of this property and what it was and what it's going to be.
Thank you, Governor. Eric Johnson, Administrator for Nevada State Parks. These ranches are located along the East Walker. They go essentially from Yerington almost all the way to the state line. They've been in private ownership since statehood. So as a result, haven't been publicly accessible, and the intent of the initiative was to acquire these 3 properties, operate them as recreation areas, and open up this fairly vast acreage, including 28 miles of the East Walker River, to the public for fishing, for camping, for hiking, for equestrian use, cabin rentals, etc. So moving to today, we've actually been on site. We're looking at stakes in the ground already at some of those locations. So we're ready to hit the ground running once July 1st gets here very shortly. Thank you.
And I signed the bill yesterday, so you've got the money now, or day before for yesterday. But as I said, this is a generational opportunity, and I've told people you would have had to be John Fremont to have access to this property because it has been in private hands since statehood, and there are so many incredible natural resource and recreational opportunities that truly haven't been available anywhere in the state. And to be able to get on a canoe or a paddleboard and be able to go those 30 miles on the Walker River, the fishing, as you said, the hiking, there are even petroglyphs that are up there, but the solitude that you can have. I mean, this is central Nevada at its best, and to be able to go out there and be able to look literally for 100 miles and not see anything. And the part that I was hoping you would talk about, Mr. Johnson, was that cabin that it was there that actually was used by Mark Twain, and it was damaged in an earthquake, but Mark Twain had provided some assistance, to my understanding, is the territorial governor's brother who needed some care and did that. But that is a remarkable spot that is going to be restored and is going to be a visitor center as well as a place for some of your state parks officers to be able to stay as well. So it's just one of those places that there's going to be something for everybody. And as I said, you don't really appreciate the vastness of it until you go out there. And 11,000 acres, again, you really don't get that perspective until you go out there. And so, Mr. Donahue, I guess the other thing that I'd like you to place on the record is how much the state paid for that.
Sure, Governor. This is a gift coming from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, so the cost to the state is zero for taking possession of these properties.
So in any event, my infomercial is over, but I just hope everybody who's here, and as we learn about this is going to be an incredible destination. And I know, Mr. Johnson, you have great plans for it that make sure that it is accessible to everyone. But as I said, I can't think of anything, if you're an outdoors person, that you can't do out there in terms of taking advantage of it all. And the other piece of it that that I'm excited about is I've described it as a free-range zoo because there are antelope and deer and turkey and what else do we have out there, Eric?
Driving through that area, Governor, is like driving through multiple western states. You see so many changes in elevation and topography that you'll see, a host of mammals. The bird life down there is tremendous. There are dozens of species of birds, some of which are quite rare. I'm particularly excited about the fishing opportunities down there. I've been working with the Department of Wildlife. They've been very responsive toward planting and increasing the fish population there. Obviously, it's an important area for sage grouse, and as you said, antelope are all over that country, and it's quite a mule deer migration route and a home property for them.
All right, thank you very much. Questions from the Attorney General or the Secretary of State?
Governor, this is Barbara Sagaski. I just wanted to thank the gentleman at the table so much, and thank you, Governor, for this. I knew 2 of the 5, and I'm looking forward to seeing the brands of the others, because those are pretty famous also, is what they use for their branding of the cattle. So I'm anxious to see those, which I hope we have displayed someplace. But I'm looking forward, as you said, Governor, to being able to go and look at these properties and that we have for the state now, and what a wonderful gift. So congratulations to the state of Nevada, I guess, is the best way to coin that. But thank you, and I did watch this as it proceeded through, and I'm very happy to see that you've signed it and that it's going forward. 28 acres, that's incredible.
Right, and publicly thank that Fish and Wildlife Foundation for this donation. I think the real value of it is over $11 million. Is that accurate, Mr. Donahue? Somewhere in that ballpark, or was it 8?
Without the water on it, sir, it's about 8.3 million.
And again, I don't know if there's ever been a donation of property that large to the state of Nevada. Are you have an understanding of that history?
I believe this would be the largest donation of real property to the state from looking at our records.
Thank you.
And Governor, for the record, Attorney General corrected me at 12,000 acres, but I think you said something about 28 acres.
No, I said 28 miles
28
of
miles. Okay,
access
so
to the East Walker.
So I want to be corrected, 12,000 acres.
No, and again, you think about that, that's
enormous.
28 miles. I mean, you can get on a paddleboard or a canoe or whatever type of watercraft that, I guess not too big, right, Eric? But as I said, you get into some places that, again, you think about it, no one's been able to have access to that in 152 years. So I know that when I talk about this with people, they want to go. And, one of those ranches is the Hilton Ranch. And, again, one of the, Mr. Hilton, that's an individual that can stay anywhere in the world that he wants. And guess where he chooses to go? He likes to go to that ranch. That's how special it is. And there is also another building that is on that property that I know it's still going to be a few more years till that's going to be freely available. But it's a Pony Express stop or a stagecoach stop that had been used as pre-statehood as well.
Yeah, yes, Governor. It's called the Mobley Motel, and it was actually a stable area built in the 1860s and has been restored. It's in, I would say, as close to perfect condition as it could be. It's a phenomenal structure.
Right, whoever wants to go, raise your hand. By acclamation, but again, thank you very much. If there are no further questions, truly appreciate your hard work, both of you, because I know that it was a monumental task to make this a reality. And there's a lot to do. I know now it's on you, Eric, but I think that's going to be truly a labor of love for you. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Right, any further questions with regard to agenda item number 14? Hear none, let's move to agenda item number 15, Department of Conservation, Natural Resources, Division of State Lands. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Governor. Agenda item 15 is an informational report regarding lands or interest in lands transferred, sold, exchanged, or leased under the Tahoe Basin Act program, as well as a quarterly report on the status of real property or interest in real property transferred under the Lake Tahoe Mitigation Program. These are required pursuant to NRS 321.5954 and Chapter 355 of the Statutes of Nevada in 1993, respectively. This report is for the quarter ended March 31st, 2017, and there were no activities under either of these two programs for that quarter.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wells. I would assume no questions since there was no activity. See, I didn't want to jinx us earlier on, but I think this is the fastest BOE meeting that I've ever had the opportunity to chair, so that's another good thing. Public comment. Is there any member of the public here in Carson City that would like to provide comment to the board? I hear and see none. Any public comment from Las Vegas?
No,
Not down
Governor.
here, Governor.
And is there a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Attorney General has moved to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. That motion passes 3-0. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.